Hello and welcome to day 9 of 30 Days of Essential Oils. My name is Tammy Davis. I'm your mentor guide and neighborhood alchemist. That's right, the alchemist is in. So thank you very much for being here. Whether you've been with me on this journey this whole time or you're just kind of new to the process, I'm just excited, beyond excited to be able to share this part of me with you. And it is a part of me. 30 years is a long time to be working with oils. I am internationally certified as a master clinical aromatherapist. I do have a background in pharmacology as well as the study of extensive study of plant constituents with regards to human health and drug development, the epigenome, as well as the science of nutrition. And by that, I mean I focus primarily on the nutrients that are released through digestion and assimilated for cellular use and how they work at the genetic level. So that's really very important to me, and so that's where the alchemy comes in. As a matter of fact, in my newsletter, which you can sign up for through the description box below, I've started a segment that's exclusive to the newsletters on how to pair foods, nutrition, so to speak, and oils for the optimal result. Again, it is about alchemy. And if you want to know more about that, please feel free to ask me all that I'm talking about. But to me, alchemy is taking a lower vibrational energy and raising the frequency. It's just raising frequency. And while we have these ways of doing things on our planet, it's not conducive to good health any longer. And that's part of the reason why I've taken on the role as a voice for Mother Nature, if you will, because we don't live in the same world as we did 100 years ago, let alone hundreds of thousands of years ago. And the body is definitely not anything close to what it used to be. We're just an entirely different organism. I mean, we've seen the evolution and the development of genetic receptors that didn't exist when man first was coming into the world. And so there's been a progression and evolution, physiological evolution that changes things. And so although our ancestors were using oils and herbs in a particular way, we cannot count on those ways any longer because, like I said, the human body is different for a number of reasons, as is the environment. Today, if you don't mind me saying so, we're basically emotionally and environmentally polluted. Hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, we had stress, but we didn't have the technology to produce the chemicals. We have over 45 million chemicals currently being consumed around the world. Over 70,000 of them are confirmed endocrine disruptors, and that does not include the ones that come in plants. And what I mean by endocrine disruptor, it means that it actually affects the way the endocrine system works. Now, yesterday there was a video on a Lemme. A Lemme is basically an endocrine tonic, but we want to make sure, number one, we don't have medications involved. Number two, we're of a particular age. We do not need to be introducing this at a very young age. The messages a lot of the times with these videos is about helping the children, giving them a different way to do things than what we're currently doing. And I want to go back to what I was saying, and that is the world and the human species is not the same. So we cannot be practicing as old world technology or old world teachings, according to old world teachings. We can't, because we can't apply it, because number one, the epigenome is designed, it's wired to adapt, it's designed to fluctuate depending on the individual organism's needs. Okay, so the way my body adapts to the environment is the way my body adapts. This is the reason why not everybody comes down with the same illness. It's the reason why disease varies between people. Disease, which means simply a lack of ease, although it's a lack of ease, what's causing our disease and our discomfort and our disorder is not going to be the same as somebody else's. Again, it's based off of mental and emotional. It's a lot of mental and emotional distress that complicates matters, and it causes adjustments. The epigenome is designed to help us stay alive, which means it's constantly changing, flipping switches in order for different processes to occur. And that's not even including the amount of chemicals that it's being exposed to. And what we're going to hear about today with regards to Neroli is how some of that is actually happening. But what I wanted to point out is that during the Human Genome Project, they were able to determine that there was a significant imprint made along the immune system. What that means is that there was changes that occurred in the immune system in the 14th century, actually early 1300s. That was during the time of the Black Plague. That significant change, and this is something I've talked about historically, but I haven't talked about it in a while, so I just wanted to point this out now, is that change to the immune system through our physiological evolution has diversified the immune system so much that the immune system is the most diverse system of the human species on the planet. Everything else kind of, there's some similarities, but the immune system is almost as different as our fingerprints. And that's based on the way the body adapts. And of course, with the advent of chemicals and all the technology that we have, it's really exacerbated this issue with regards to change and the way the human body is fighting to survive. And that's really what the stress response is. It's a fight to survive the world. And as I mentioned, we are emotionally and environmentally polluted. And so what the oils can do, if we use them appropriately, is they can offset a lot of this distress or the effects of the distress. Now, one of the things about me that you won't find anywhere else is that because we cannot use things the way they are historically talked about, and because the human body is so diverse, and also because we have all these chemicals, they talk to one another. That's what chemicals do. Nature communicates via chemicals, and so it's a constant interaction. So we live in a chemistry lab. That's where we're living. Our body's a chemistry lab. The world is a chemistry lab. So all of these chemicals are interacting. So again, because of the introduction of all these chemicals, we can no longer use oils, because they are chemicals, as we did historically. It's just impossible because of the interactions. And that's what we're going to talk about in these videos, and that's what you find out about in the blogs as well. And Neroli is no different. And so with the changes that have occurred, again, we just can't be using them. And that's part of my, my mission, is to raise awareness, teach our children how they can actually use these oils to offset the environmental distress, to help stabilize their moods and emotions so that they're not victimized by their own emotions, and that their body can actually handle this world at a much better level, and in turn not be set up to be a statistic, for future health issues. My whole goal is that they have a healthier future than many people get to experience. And unfortunately, even though the world is advanced as it is, the degenerative diseases are on the rise. And something that I tend to say, but I'm going to say it again here, mental health, brain health affects physiological health, okay? This is not separate, okay? This isn't separate. It's not, we have moods and emotions and then the rest of the body works just fine. Moods and emotions are affecting the way the physiology works. You ever feel like shit, when you're unhappy about something, or you get in a group of people and everybody's kind of feeling, they're angry or they're sad or whatever, you don't feel good. You notice more aches and pains. You notice more, maybe some digestive issues. The mental health affects the physiological health. And so being able to stabilize the system improves mental health, and it also improves physiological health because it maintains the electrical impulses in a way that helps the body to thrive as opposed to remaining in survival mode. That was a lot to be said just now. So thanks for listening. So anyway, today, Neroli, Citrus aurantium. Okay, be careful about that. That's the botanical name. There is 3 forms. In the 31 days, we talked about petitgrain. And there's different types of petitgrain. And petitgrain is from the leaf. Neroli is from the flower. And we also have bitter orange, which comes from the rind. And please know that just because it says Citrus aurantium does not mean that the constituents are the same. The constituents out of the flower vary because the flower has a different role on the plant. Same thing goes for the leaves, same thing goes for the fruit. So being aware of what you actually have, where I remember there's one company in particular, I'm not going to name names, that I got into talking with somebody one day, and they have wild orange, but on the label it called it Citrus aurantium, and I just cautioned them that is more than likely not, because there's a different type of plant. type of orange, and that didn't mean that it was yeah, that was a concern of mine, because you won't typically find in international aromatherapy books Citrus aurantium listed as wild orange. So the three that are known to be Citrus aurantium, again, are Neroli, petitgrain, and bitter orange. So when it comes to Neroli, though, I totally dig it, and I love oils. And one of the another message that I have is the fact that oils are exceptional when we're not taking medications. This is what I was alluding to earlier. They're exceptional when we're not taking medications. They have the ability to help the body offset the distress, or the effects of the distress, rather. At the same time, if we take medications, there's a clash. And Neroli is one of them. And I love Neroli. I love the smell of Neroli. It's really just, oh, I love it. And at the same time, if you take any kind of medication psychotropic that is considered a CNS depressant, you cannot take Neroli. You cannot use Neroli. It's just, and that information will be in the blog. I'll just say it that far. But Neroli's, I have to throw the cautions out here in the video, because I don't want to be saying how I've used them and then everybody go, oh yeah, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and I'm going to use it for that reason. If you take medications, especially psychotropic medications that are considered CNS depressants, and that would be a lot of your sleep medications, you cannot include Neroli. So there's a hint. Neroli is a sedative. Now, what's interesting is it's actually the primary constituent is that it kind of almost equals what's in lavender. This is where I get really, really excited, because although we've been able to identify different constituents and their pathway through the human body, it's the synergy of constituents that ultimately changes the way the body excuse my dogs. Just making sure there wasn't another interruption. I didn't want to pause the film in case. Anyway, my alarm system. So where was I? Okay, so like I was saying, if you don't want to use it for sleep, if you're taking sleep medications, and that is because it is a great, oh yeah, I was talking about linalool, that's right. So it's very high in a particular constituent that kind of parallels lavender, true lavender. All right, so that kind of makes it calming, but it doesn't make it a sedative. The next constituent, this is what I was talking about earlier, it's called nerolidol. And nerolidol, although that doesn't have sedative quality to it, it's when it's paired with myrcene that makes it a sedative, and this is the reason why you cannot mix it with sedatives. However, nerolidol is a very interesting constituent, because they recognize it to be, it actually increases skin permeability, skin tissue permeability, and they do add this, kind of like bisphenol, to personal care products to increase the uptake of ingredients so that you get the results that they promise, right? So that you can actually see things, almost experience this softening and the smoothing out that they talk about. They include these chemicals for that reason. And the challenge is that the skin's already permeable as it is. It's designed to protect us, and at the same time, it will absorb things. And so the fact that they're actually adding these things to these patches and these personal care products is frightening, because the amount of chemicals that they're adding to it is increasing the level of distress that the body is experiencing. Now, as I was also getting at before these guys interrupted me, the synergy of constituents is phenomenal, and that's what I love, because although we can identify how a particular constituent pathway through the system, it's the way the chemicals work together, as I pointed out with nerolidol and myrcene. So Neroli I've used almost exclusively for sleep. I've used it a couple of times with children who were really, really suffering from anxiety in school, young children, and who just, almost complete terror about going to school. And it's not my job to know why they're going through this, but this is like total shutdown kind of thing. And so I've included Neroli in for things for them during the day to kind of help just kind of chill out a little bit, you know, and I blended it with some other things, and just not strictly Neroli, but blended it with a couple of other oils to kind of keep them uplifted and not just passing out. And so that's part of the blending techniques that I'm going to be teaching in another series that you can find on Ko-fi, ko-fi. That link is in the box below too. So that's coming up as well. However, like I said, Neroli is just really superb when it helps to just kind of like de-stressing the system and actually falling asleep to the degree that it'll actually help the brain drop into delta waves. It'll get you that deep. And so the thing is if you don't currently take medications, or especially sleep medications, but if you're in the position where you can actually include Neroli in your day, or if you have children who are struggling with sleep, because children's sleep issues are huge. They have as many sleep issues as adults do. And if they start to use Neroli and you can get them to go to sleep, but they wake up in the middle of the night, don't panic. The body has to reset itself. It is a training, okay? So there's a training that has to take place. So just the introduction of a little bit more Neroli in the middle of the night, should they wake up, is fine. The body will eventually find its way back to a natural sleep cycle. So, that's where I'm going to stop with this today on Neroli. I appreciate you watching. If you do have any questions, if you think I missed something here, by all means, let me know. Oh, wait a minute. It just popped into my head. So besides sleep, a lot of the times, this is where I like it for sleep also, as well as, and where, gosh, I can't believe I just did all of this. I think I'm a little nervous. I'm afraid somebody else is going to walk up to the door. So I just want to I really want to get you your information. So another thing that Neroli is very good for is actually the pancreas, which means it has an impact on the hormonal system. And of course it does when it helps you to go to sleep. Some people will say that you can actually use it to stabilize blood sugar. Well, to a degree, yes. It doesn't directly change your blood sugar. What it does is it actually integrates the way the pancreas is producing enzymes and hydrochloric acid, not enzymes, hydrochloric acid, so that the body can actually break down your glucose, your macronutrients. Yeah, let me just slow down here a minute. So it helps with the digestive system in the sense that it stimulates the pancreas to and helps the release of hydrochloric acid into the stomach, so that the macronutrients can be properly broken down, fully broken down, so that for cell assimilation. Because when we are stressed, we're no longer fully utilizing glucose or protein. And so we have larger particles of glucose floating throughout the body. We have larger particles of protein floating throughout the body, which means the cells aren't getting the nutrients that they need. This is where a lot of blood sugar issues come in. But the inclusion of Neroli into our day, as long as it's safe to use, if there's no medications being used, will facilitate the reduction of blood sugar challenges, because it does soothe the body enough to where it can release hydrochloric acid. And why am I saying that? Because when the body is stressed, the hydrochloric acid production is reduced significantly. And so what we're trying to do is to stimulate that process and actually facilitate a better use of our nutrients. Therefore, now you no longer have blood sugar issues. So some people would say that it's really good for the hormonal system, and it is, but it's through the digestive system that is good for the hormonal system. Okay, so that is where I'm going to leave you, other than the fact that it is also good for skin. I've used it for skin in some skincare instances with psoriasis. But psoriasis is a hormonal issue because it's an immune issue. I could probably talk all day long about these oils and the way it physiologically works. So yes, the psoriasis is an autoimmune challenge, and it starts in the digestive system. But it also has some beautiful qualities to it where it's very soothing to the skin and helps to ease. Doesn't necessarily help repair skin tissue, but it helps to ease the discomfort and the redness. All right. So you guys take care. Thank you very much for being here. Links in the box below to my website for my newsletter, to check out Ko-fi, because I really want to teach you how to blend so that you can create an alchemy or an elixir that gives you what you need. All right. You guys take care. until day 10.